Now, ladies and gentlemen, after over a decade of blockchain development, the importance of social responsibility is obvious. What we all do in the industry affects people's livelihoods, giving us a sense of duty and care. Our next panel will explore the blockchain industry and how it can embrace social responsibility and make a real difference around the globe. Please let me welcome to the stage Binance Charity's Elizabeth Lee. Warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, Elizabeth. The stage is yours, and if you can introduce us to your panel. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Lee, the Deputy Director of Binance Charity, also the moderator of this panel. So now let's welcome our four esteemed guests. The first, the Chief Strategy Officer of Chimazie, Antonio Saaranden. The second, Arnaud Ventura, Managing Director of Gojo. Chimazie Chuta, founder of the Blockchain Nigeria User Group. And Michelle Chivunga, CEO of the Global Policy House. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone to come to the Binance Blockchain Week and joining us on this hot topic of embracing social responsibility in the blockchain industry. So I'm Elizabeth, Deputy Director of Binance Charity. We are the philanthropy arm of Binance. Since 2018, we've built the world's first ever transparent donation platform enabled by the blockchain technology. And so far, we've donated over $20 million US in crypto and to help 1 million people in need. Our mission is to really, through cryptocurrency, to equip people with financial independence, to drive the sustainable development and closing the poverty gap. So now, without further ado, let's welcome our guest. Would you like to give us a very brief introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, my name is Antonio. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for Quantum Foundation. I partly come from a finance background, but also hold a master's degree in computer science, specializing in cryptography.
And Arnaud?
Hello, I'm Arnaud Ventura. So I've been involved in financial inclusion for the last 20 years. I've built several businesses in financial inclusion. The last one was a banking group in Africa and China focusing on microfinance and financial inclusion. And I'm now managing partner with Gojo, which is an investment company investing mostly in Asia in financial inclusion and fintech.
All right, so Chimazie Chuta, I am the founder and coordinator of Blockchain Nigeria User Group. We are focused on ecosystem development, regulatory and policy making, and stakeholder engagement, and talent development in Nigeria and across Africa.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Chivunga. I'm the CEO of Global Policy House, and our focus at Global Policy House is looking at sustainability and blockchain. I'm also advisor to the African Union, which represents the 53 African countries, looking at various things around digital trade, as well as blockchain and ecosystem development. And then I also advise several other governments, and we work a lot around things like central bank digital currencies, with central banks, with governments, and other stakeholders. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for coming here today. So let's start our discussion on the very recent observation that, in the Ukraine and Russia conflict, we see many millions US dollars were donated to the government, the nonprofit organizations, and even to individuals. So how do you see the social responsibility in the blockchain sector has evolved in the past, and how will it be evolving in the next few years?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think, we could take it from the beginning. So, from a historical perspective, I think many of you know this, but Satoshi Nakamoto created a data structure known as blockchain in the form of the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So one of the earliest use of cryptocurrencies in social responsibility was when WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange started accepting Bitcoin in June 2011, despite Satoshi Nakamoto telling him not to, because Bitcoin was still in its infancy. Spoiler alert, it went well for both WikiLeaks and Bitcoin. And they did this because their traditional payment channels were frozen at the time. So why did they use Bitcoin and the blockchain data structure then? The blockchain has a lot of inherent properties, but three of those key properties are censorship resistance, immutability, and permissionless, meaning that anyone can join the network without any barriers of entrance. These properties are crucial when it comes to social responsibility because it hinders oppressive actors and regimes from censorship and freezing funds. So, jumping on to the second technological paradigm shift in the cryptocurrency space, and that was the invention of Ethereum in 2015. The invention brought programmability to the blockchain, and the doors to endless new possibilities arose. With that also came the DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. So all of a sudden, apart from the transparency the blockchain brings, the stakeholders in an autonomous organization could also vote on the outcome of the funds on the smart contract, in turn democratizing social impact, making it more trustless. One of the largest debates in the recent years has been social responsibility in the form of sustainability and energy footprint of blockchains, especially relating to blockchains utilizing the proof of work consensus mechanism. Partly because of this purpose, the quantum blockchain is utilizing proof of stake, and we can go on all night debating proof of work versus proof of stake. We're not going to do that. But if you're interested in the subject, you can come find me, or you can read my master's thesis from 2017 covering the topic. We at Quantum feel that it's important to offset our carbon footprint from the blockchain, and we're therefore, through Binance Charity, thanks for that, Liz, and also the 3 Million Alliance donated $100,000 to compensate our entire footprint for the blockchain from the launch of the mainnet until now, and also 20 years ahead, efficiently making our blockchain not only carbon neutral, but currently carbon positive. We're short on time here, I know that, so I don't want to steal too much time from my fellow panel members. I just want to add my 2 cents on the future. So the inherent property of transparency can also play against an actor in donating funds to DAOs, for example, and social causes. So here I believe that CK Snark solutions scaling and anonymizing donations will play a key part in protecting users of blockchain ecosystem from oppressive actors. And with this being said, I'm handing over to Michelle to cover the social part. Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. No, thanks for that. I think, when we talk about the social side, I think one of the most significant things about blockchain is really very much about the people and how can we support the people, right? It's all about the people at the end of the day. Technology is very much is a great enabler, but I think we need to be able to look at the impacts that technology brings on the people and the ecosystem. So I think in terms of looking at it from a social impact angle, I think one of the most transformational things I think about blockchain is that it helps to build social capital. What do I mean by social capital? Obviously, where we can get people working together and collaborating together. And because of the nature of blockchain and how it actually helps with making things a little bit more trustworthy, a little bit more transparent, enables a lot more players to come together to actually bring transformational change. I think that's really, really exciting. And what we're starting to see now, in the social sector, in the sustainability field, is actually starting to use the technologies beyond the financial offering, right? So of course, we know that with digital currencies like Bitcoin, we have seen a lot of change. You talk about Ukraine and the situation with Ukraine and Russia. I think a lot of if you think about digital assets and how digital assets might be utilized, even within wars, you start to think about the benefits that people can actually get out of that. So for me, I think it's very important that we start to think beyond just the applications that you heard about around the financial side, and you start to think about, okay, how can we support those refugee communities, for example? How can we ensure that we can provide access to wealth for them, we can provide access to information, and that is one of the transformational things about blockchain, because it unifies, right? It helps to bring in empowerment, which is really, really useful. And then the other thing that we've noticed, I think, over time, we had COVID. Supply chains were halted almost in every part of the world. When you start to think about the applications of blockchain within the trade and supply chain areas, then you can really start to see the benefits and the transformation around that. So, of course, we're starting to see more and more use cases coming within the trade and supply chain areas. And then, of course, that is going to benefit, for example, a lot of small, medium enterprises. Again, you're really addressing the sustainability issue. You take continents like Africa, it's going to be the biggest trading bloc in the world, right? And you start to apply things like blockchain, you eliminate things like corruption, you eliminate things like anti-money laundering and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's very, very important that I think we start to contextualize how we can actually apply the technology and how that's going to bring ripple benefits for people. And in terms of also looking at the SDGs, right? If we're going to deliver on the SDGs, I think the promise of looking at things like blockchain and how we can apply blockchain to reduce poverty, to reduce hunger, very, very important. For us at our institution, we're very big around bringing communities together. We've invested in starting to look at educating, for example, women-led businesses, 10 million women, to educate them around crypto, around blockchain, to help them to start to understand how can we use digital assets and blockchain to actually access wealth and create wealth for themselves. So, we look at beyond just the conversation. And lastly, before I quickly wrap up, it's very important, I think, with blockchain where we can start to measure, right? Everybody talks about social impact. Everybody talks about sustainability, especially big companies. They claim to say, okay, we are going to be sustainable, but how are you measuring that? How are you accounting for that? Obviously, you can build data capital, what I call data capital, and I think with blockchain, you can be able to monitor that data capital and actually prove that you have delivered what it is that you're promising to deliver. So blockchain brings in a number of transformational aspects beyond just the social aspects. And then, of course, you can utilize the technology and the data to provide you a bit more insights on how you move forward. So very, very promising. And I think we're starting to see a lot more use cases now, which is actually making the case for blockchain as a very transformational technology, and we'll see that continue in the future.
Thank you very much, Michelle and Antonio. You've mentioned a lot of the practices currently social responsibility in the blockchain sector. I would also like to know what are some of the barriers you observed in applying social responsibility in the sector, and also more importantly, I think we all believe that blockchain can be a great potential to be applied in the financial inclusion sector to give people the financial independence. What will be the next step to apply blockchain to really drive the adoption and to the mass, to benefit the mass community? Arnaud, would you like to go first?
So maybe one comment first. I've been involved in blockchain for not that long, but since I've been involved, keep hearing, oh, blockchain is great for financial inclusion. Okay, let me just remind you what is financial inclusion about. Financial inclusion is about 1 billion people that have no access to any financial services. No bank accounts, no Binance accounts, no payment services, no loans, no saving, no deposits. So the topic of financial inclusion is addressing this gap and providing financial including in the financial system those 1 billion people, which are, as you can guess, largely in Africa, a bit in Asia and Latin America. Today, those people have been addressed by specific institutions that are typically called microfinance banks. So microfinance banks today have reached around 150 million people, while it is estimated that there are a market up to 1 billion people to serve. Today, those microfinance institutions mostly are lending money to those people to help them develop their business and improve their income. And this lending market is around $150 billion. The estimated market in the next 3 to 5 years is the estimation is that it could grow from $150 billion to $300 billion. So what is the opportunity for the blockchain and for the crypto world? As far as I'm concerned, I see a huge opportunity. There is, as you know, because you are all in this space, a lot of growth in the crypto sector. And so, in my view, there are probably 3 domains where we could see the crypto and financial inclusion merge or work together. First is access to capital markets. Those microfinance banks need to access capital markets, needs to increase their resources to lend more money, and the crypto space can make it easy or easier to access capital markets. There are actually a number of protocols that already exist to bridge the gap between those financial institutions in the ground, in Africa, in Asia, in LATAM, and the crypto market. The second impact is on product specifically. You can think of, most of those countries I've mentioned have a huge inflation and depreciation of their currency. So giving access to the lowest income people to hard currency deposits, it will be a huge offering and product to them. For that, you need more innovations, more institutions in the field to bridge the gap between, again, those peoples and the exchanges or the platform that can offer them these stable coins. And then finally, in terms of products, there is also this, I guess you mentioned the initial paper of Satoshi, this initial idea that blockchain is going to be a very efficient way to make payments and to make transfer of money and potentially remittances. As we all know, in those markets I've mentioned, remittances is a huge opportunity, which is today largely taken over by large corporates taking huge fees on that. So the blockchain can obviously come in and propose services and products to address this. So I see, huge needs and potential, market potential. By the way, I see this, for me, it's way beyond charity. It's a business. Those 300 million people or $1 billion that needs to be served should be served in commercially. It's a business opportunity, and it's very timely for the blockchain community to enter into this business opportunity.
Great, thank you, Arnaud. And Chimazie, would you like to talk more about what the barriers that you're observing and how was the next step for us to achieving to the mass adoption?
Okay, so in the course of our work at the Blockchain Nigeria as a group, we have encountered several dragging issues that are limiting the adoption. For instance, because of the complexity and the fact that the technology is new, people are not conversant with the processes of being onboarded into the industry. For now, wallet setup are still complicated for a lot of people, and they're not used to that. Then you also look at the fact that users who are not knowledgeable are prone to losing their asset. And when people complain about blockchain technology and its security, they mistake user-level kind of risk and the protocol itself. But for them, it doesn't matter whether it's protocol that has issue or the user. The important thing to them is that you could lose your money. Then also you see proliferation of fraud, and people are easily swayed to go in the direction of fraudulent projects that, in fact, there are more fraudulent projects in the blockchain space than genuine projects. If you go to most of the platforms where people go to trade products, especially on the decentralized platform, you have probably 90% scam projects. And a lot of people don't know how to even identify genuine projects. And that's how they fall victim to some of these scams. And the result is that once they have fallen to those scams, it's difficult for them to come back. And probably they spread the wrong information about the technology to new people that had not even come into the space. So there are a whole lot of it. Then again, you look at the issue of regulation. Most jurisdictions in the world don't have any regulatory framework drafted for the use of crypto. And that makes it difficult for a lot of people. it's still wild, wild west for most people. And not everybody is comfortable playing in that type of wild, wild west environment. So those are some of the easily identifiable things. There are much more than that, but let's just look at the time that we have and stop at that.
Antonio, Michelle, want to add to it?
Yeah, no, totally agree with what Chuta is saying. I think, at the end of the day, we need to create a safe place for people to interact within the blockchain and the crypto space. We're certainly looking at regulation on the African continent. We've got a new policy drive. We're unifying the continent. We're encouraging more inter-regional trade. We're encouraging all of you to actually come to the continent and do business. But it's also important as we try and do that we make sure we have the right policy frameworks and the right environment for businesses to come in, for crypto businesses, for blockchain companies to come in and do business on the continent. And one of the things that we are really looking at is, of course, looking at regulation, but also looking at how do we interact and connect the two ecosystems. We've got two worlds. You've got the digital economy, you've got the traditional world. I think those two worlds also need to find a way of collaborating and doing business together because there are massive opportunities. The blockchain world is still evolving and developing, and we're seeing a lot of new use cases, new protocols coming into market. And I think as the businesses, and the industry stabilizes, then you're going to see a lot more growth. But definitely there's a lot more interaction that is going on between the old world and the new world, and that's kind of promising to see.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving us such a wonderful panel today. I would hate to conclude this session, but we are running out of time. So if there's any further questions to our speakers, please feel to connect with them offline. And again, thank you so much for your insight, for discussion, and coming here for our panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
All right.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and the rest of the panel. Social responsibility is such an important topic when it comes to talking about blockchain technology.